Hello everyone. The very mention of the word spirituality conjures a variety of images in today's popular culture. A host or a galore of misconceptions. A few of them, or most of them, I would say, our learned friend Javed has already summarized. So what is spirituality? If I must define, I would choose a very technical definition. Spirituality essentially means when one's ability to experience life transcends the limitations of the physical, then we say you're spiritual. What is physical? The essential nature of the physical is a defined boundary. It is always within a defined boundary that physicality can exist. But the very nature of the human being is such. There is one part of him which is the instinct of self-preservation, which is constantly trying to define this boundary and protect this boundary. There's another dimension of the human being which is always longing to be something more than what he is right now. It doesn't matter who you are, how big you are, what you have become in your life, you are still longing to be something more than who you are right now. If you manage to conquer the whole planet, I'm sure you will look at the stars. So there is something within you which does not like boundaries. There is something within you constantly longing to become boundless. Boundlessness means the non-physical. The physical is only the cover. The core is a non-being or the non-physical. The basis of this being is a core non-being which is non-physical in nature, which is constantly trying to find expression in human life. With all kinds of pacifist philosophies, people have tried to quell this longing, somehow to put it to sleep, teaching you about contentment, teaching you not to be greedy, teaching you how to be content with what limitations you have been set into. But no matter what they have taught you, this longing to be something more than who you are has not stopped even in a single human being on this planet. Because the longing to become boundless is eternally on. So if this is the longing of a human being, if it finds a very basic physical expression, we call this sexuality. If it finds an emotional expression, we call this love. If it finds a mental expression, generally, socially it gets labeled as greed, ambition, conquest. But if it finds a conscious expression, it is a spiritual process. The physicality of who we are right now, our experience of this is coming to us essentially through the 5 sense perceptions. Sense organs give us an experience of the physical. Everything that you perceive, what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch is essentially physical. The world around you is physical, the body is physical, the mind is also physical. It is very easy to see that the light bulb is physical, but the electricity behind it is also physical. The light that it gives out is also physical. It is getting subtler, but still physical. So the body, the mind, and the world that you experience is essentially physical. So this physical reality, how you experience it? Right now you see me. Where do you see me? You would naturally say here, but it is not true. This light is falling upon me, reflecting into your lenses, the inverted image in the retina, you know the whole story. So you are seeing me within yourself. You hear me within yourself. Everything that happens in your living experience happens within yourself. You have never experienced anything other than yourself. But this within is not in excess of your sense perception. Sense organs are essentially outward bound. You can see what is outside, but you cannot roll your eyeballs inside and scan yourself. You can hear this, but you cannot hear all the activity that's happening in this body. If an ant crawls upon your hand, you can feel it. So much blood flowing, can you feel it? So in the very nature of things, sense organs are outward bound. So with sense perception, if you try to be spiritual, you will be like someone who is traveling in a bullock cart wanting to go to moon. People around you will encourage you and tell you, get yourself a new whip, it'll happen. Believe me, you may kill the bull, you will not get there. If you want to go to the moon, you need an appropriate vehicle, otherwise you will not get there. So this process of what we refer to as spiritual essentially happens when human intelligence recognizes, when human intelligence realizes that we are existing here without knowing the essential nature of who we are. When we realize that we are existing here without knowing the essential nature of our being here, then the longing and the seeking that arises within you is the spiritual process. When spiritual processes get organized over a period of time, they may become religions. What is the basic difference between a religion and a spiritual process? A religion essentially is coming from a set of belief systems. But a spiritual process is a seeking. When you believe something, when you are identified with a religion, you are referred to as a believer. And similarly, when you are on a spiritual path, you are referred to as a seeker. What is the basis of belief? What is the basis of seeking? Let's understand this, because these two things are so mixed up. Belief, what it means. Belief systems are of different kinds. They can be theistic or atheistic. One believes there is God, another believes there is no God. Whether you believe this or that, essentially both are believing something that they do not know. Essentially, belief system is coming from a basic problem that you are not sincere enough to admit that you do not know. I do not know is a tremendous possibility. If you destroy I do not know, you destroy all possibilities of knowing. I do not know is the basis of knowing. The moment you kill it with some kind of belief that is convenient for your social placement or your educational qualifications or whatever you're exposed to, then you're destroying all possibilities of knowing. These belief systems are arising because there is a certain convenience in this. The moment you believe something, you can go about with a certain level of confidence. Confidence without clarity is a disaster. What we need is clarity of life. What we need is clarity of perception as to how things are. The moment we have confidence without clarity, we are blundering idiots. We can see this happening all over the world. If I want to walk through this hall, if I have no clarity of vision, but I have great confidence, you know what I will do? I will be all over you. If I have clarity of vision, without touching a single person, I can pass through this hall. This is exactly what you're seeing in the world. Belief systems fire people up with a great sense of confidence. And this confidence without the necessary clarity is a huge disaster on this planet. We are continuously paying the price for this. And especially when leadership is made like this, the price is big. So what is the basis of seeking? If you want to seek something, first and foremost thing is you realize that you don't know. I do not know. When you see this, the longing to know arises, then the seeking follows. Then there is a possibility of knowing. There is a very beautiful story in the Buddhist lore. On a certain day, Gautama, the Buddha, was sitting in a large congregation of disciples. Early morning, before the sun has come up, a man came and stood in that corner, in shadows. This man is a great devotee. He is a devotee of Rama. He's not just been to temples, he has built temples. His whole life he spent saying only Ram, Ram, Ram. He took God seriously. Not like you. You do everything that's important to your life by yourself and you keep God as an insurance. Just in case, if something goes wrong, I have also paid my premium. But this man took God seriously. He made it his life. Full-time God. He went Ram, Ram, Ram. Age is passing away, little doubt has come. Suppose there is no God. My whole life will go waste. He knows there is God, just a little doubt. So now there is an enlightened being here, he wants to confirm. So he came and stood in the shadows and asked this inevitable question, is there God? Gautama looked at him and gave a clear, emphatic no. This large group of disciples, one big relief, woof, because this struggle is going on in their mind all the time. Is there God? No God. Is there God? No God. Whenever they ask such questions, Gautama becomes silent. For the first time, he gave a clear answer, no God. The message spread. The enlightened one has declared, there is no God. Joy spread. Celebration happened. Just imagine the freedom. Nobody keeping accounts as to what you're doing to torture you in hell or reward you in heaven. Life is completely yours. Joy spread, celebrations happened through the day. Evening, another man came. This man is a Charvaka. Charvakas are out and out materialists. They don't believe anything other than what they see. This is the only country, this is the only culture where there are missionaries of God and missionaries of no God, both of them going about doing their work vehemently without any problem about their life being in danger. Even today in South India, it's a very active culture. Missionaries of no God are very, very active. Village to village they go, proving to people how there is no God. So this man is an expert Charvaka. It doesn't matter what kind of a believer you are. If you spend 10 minutes with him, he'll prove to you there is no God. For thousands of people, he proved there is no God. Age is passing away. Little doubt has come. Suppose there is God. When I go there, will he leave me? All these believers say that he has all kind of torture equipment up there. He wants to confirm. He knows there is no God. He can prove to you there is no God. Just a little doubt. So evening, after the sun has set, he came. He stood in the corner and asked the same inevitable question, is there God? Gautama looked at the man and said, yes. Once again the disciples went into a turmoil. Morning he said, no God. They were all absolutely happy. Evening he says, there is God. What's the gain? Whether you believe there is God, whether you believe there is no God, there is no difference. Do you know for sure? Have you strived to know in some way? Whatever ideas of God we have are essentially cultural. Some time ago I happened to be in Nashville and I was just telling them a joke. And in the joke I referred to God as Him. Immediately a few ladies stood up and said, do you believe God is a man? I said, I know where this is going. I said, please, I was only telling you a joke. Said, it doesn't matter. You said Him. Do you believe God is a man? These problems exist only in those cultures. Here we have no such problems. We have a man God, we have a woman God, we have a cow God, we have a monkey God, we have a snake God, crawling ones, creeping ones, flying ones, because we foresaw all the problems that may arise in future. It's a very wise culture. Now, the question is just this: how did we arrive at these belief systems? Now, spirituality is not about scriptures. Spirituality is not about some God up there. Spirituality is not about looking up or down or around. It is about looking inward. What do I mean by inward? When I say inward, I am not talking about introspection, contemplation, nor dissection. Because all these things are limited to either body or to the mind. This body and mind, how did you get them? When you were born, you were so small. Now you have become as much as you have become. How? This is just an accumulation. An accumulation of breakfast, lunch and dinner. I'm just leaving out the snack and dessert out of politeness. This is just an accumulation of the food that we have eaten. This is just a heap of food. Or this is just a piece of earth right now prancing around like this. All this countless number of people who walked this planet before you and me came here. Where are they? Topsoil. This also will become topsoil unless somebody buries you real deep, fearing that you may rise from the dead. What you call as my mind is essentially a heap of impressions that you have gathered through the five senses. And these sense organs are not reliable. They have always told you seeing is believing, seeing is not believing. What you see as light, some other creature experiences it as darkness. What you see as darkness, some other creature sees it as light. What you think is silence, somebody else experiences it as sound. So what you experience through the five sense organs are not reliable. Today modern physics and neurosciences are proving this to you beyond any doubt, that everything that you experience through five senses are not the way they seem to be. This is no more a fantasy world. This is no more a philosophy. This is a scientific fact that your experience of the world is not in line with the way existence is. It is only to the extent it is necessary for your survival. Sense organs are sufficient instruments for survival. But if you are seeking to know dimensions beyond survival, you need a different faculty, an inward looking, which you have to activate or induct within yourself. Sense perception gets on by itself because they are the instruments of survival. But if you want to have an inward perception, then you have to strive to activate it. Otherwise it doesn't happen by itself. Because of this, there are phenomenal amount of misconceptions and misuse. Because the nature of spiritual process is so subjective. Leave other dimensions of the beyond. Something as simple as love. Any number of human beings have felt love in their heart. But can you define it? What is it? Is it chemistry? Is it attachment? Is it lust? Or is it just one big hoax? What is it? Only the one who experiences it will know it. Others will not know it. So the subjective dimensions of life cannot be known by logical dissection. Your logical intellect is not instrument enough, not capable enough to perceive the non-physical dimensions of life. And assuming that whatever is not in my knowing or in my experience cannot exist is the crown of ignorance. The basic thing that has happened to this world is just this. Because people are unwilling to see that they do not know, they jump into convenient belief systems. One thing that is happening is, wherever you go, people are going on saying that you are made in the image of God. This one idea has turned humanity into a bunch of vandals. If you saw you are like any other life, a worm and an insect and a bird and an animal has as much life as you have. They have their own whole life going for themselves. Just because we have a higher capability of managing things, somewhere we believe that we are in the image of the Creator. This has rendered humanity into a bunch of vandals. If only we saw we are just one more life on this planet, we would have walked gently. We wouldn't have walked so violently upon this planet. Today we have become this way. It doesn't matter what is given to us. We are capable of turning every boon into a curse. For the first time, this generation of people, we are the most comfortable generation ever on this planet. Never before another generation of people have known these kind of comforts and these kind of conveniences. Science and technology has rendered this to us. But can we claim that we are the most peaceful generation? Can we claim we are the most joyful generation? Can we claim that we are the most loving generation? Definitely not. In many ways, we are edging towards becoming the most neurotic generation on the planet. So whatever is a boon, we are capable of turning it into a curse, because right now our whole experience of life is limited to the physical. Through the physical means, we are trying to become boundless, which is leading us to unbridled activity without realizing the impact of what we are doing. Now, in what way is spirituality relevant to leadership? When we say spirituality, one thing we need to understand is, it is not about love. It is not about humanity. It is not about ecological consciousness. It is not about any of those things. Those things you can do without any spirituality. With little sense in your head, you can do that. Spirituality means your experience of life has transcended the physical. Now, when I say the physical, transcended the physical. What, Rekha, what did you have for lunch? Huh? What? Just tell me one. Broccoli. So you eat a vegetable. Over the afternoon, this vegetable transforms itself into a human being. Yes? Yes or no? What you eat is becoming you, isn't it? So vegetable transforming into a human being. Your body is being created from within. The source of creation for this life is within itself. The very source of creation is within you. And the problem is, it is happening unconsciously. If you conducted this process of transforming a vegetable into human being consciously, you are the very creator. Now, if you want to be a leader, if you just function on the physical and intellectual terms, you are a poor leader. Because your body and your mind is hugely chained to the past. In your mind, the content of the mind, your mind is working only from the data that has been fed into your mind. Your mind is constantly functioning from past information. But when we say a leader, who is a leader? We are looking forward to a leader, not to repeat the past for us. We are looking forward to a leader because he can create something that other people could not think of, other people could not perceive. He sees something that everybody else could not see. That's a leader. If his perception is limited to sense organs, he does not see anything new. He can only improve the past. No new possibilities will happen. Right now, that's what I see with humanity. In the last, if you just take last century as an example, we have had phenomenal capabilities. In the last 100 years, as a humanity, we have done more than what human beings have done in the last 10,000 years. Phenomenal amount of activity. We are hugely empowered. In spite of that, just look at the way we have gone on. We have gone on groping in the dark. We will do something today, we will regret 25 years later. We said, this is it today, tomorrow we said, that was not it. That is the way we are progressing, because there is no perception of life the way it is. Our whole understanding of life is coming from just logical intellect, which is functioning from a limited information that is stored in it. It is always functioning from the data that has been fed into this, and that data will not create a new possibility. Unless there is a spiritual element, unless a human being has started experiencing life beyond his body and intellect, he will not create a new possibility for this humanity. He will not bring a new possibility for this generation of people.
Whether people go to a temple, church or mosque, they are busy making deals. Deal makers and devotees are two different people. We need to change the equation. It is not for those who do not have to talk about sharing, because what little they have, they're not willing to share. When success or failure makes no difference for you, you are a true success.
I don't understand.
When the result of an event has no impact on you, both ways you blissed out, you are a success. Till I was 19 years of age, I was so taciturn that I barely spoke.